the open road and the frosty chill of winter. With sounds specially selected for hitting the slopes or cruising through the snow. Miles and miles of Black Diamond anthems that'll make you shiver. Ski Trip, a road trip radio mixtape, now on the all-new SiriusXM app.
When you're a SiriusXM subscriber, you've got access to commercial-free music, channels from almost every genre, and channels created in conjunction with the biggest names in music. Eminem's Shade 45, Pearl Jam Radio, Bruce Springsteen's E Street Radio, and more. Visit www.siriusxm.com/go to sign up online quickly or call 844-711-8800 now. Activate your radio and start listening now.
Road Dog Trucking Radio.
We can discuss whatever is on your mind.
Regulation in the trucking industry.
Alternative fuels. Issues in Congress and in our government.
Amenities in urban economics.
Steps to becoming an owner-operator. How to run a business.
Standardized wages and benefits for truck drivers.
The importance of the supply chain.
We get into any number of topics.
For the business of trucking.
It really is very diverse.
To keep drivers happy and informed from anywhere on the road.
It's Road Dog Trucking Radio.
SiriusXM, channel 146.
Amazing moments happen so much at SiriusXM. We want you to see them. SiriusXM Video lets you watch your favorite SiriusXM shows on the SiriusXM app. Groundbreaking interviews, amazing in-show moments, behind-the-scenes footage, live performances, all come to life in a way you only imagined before. Plus, you can create your own personalized Pandora station based on the artist you love. And hear over 100 extra channels filled with ad-free music for every mood or occasion. Get your first 6 months of our Platinum plan for only $8.33 per month, plus fees and taxes. Just call 844-711-8800 to take advantage of this amazing offer.
Get you ready for opening day with a tour of spring training.
Baseball is back.
Hear interviews with all-stars.
This is Mookie Betts. This is Matt Olson. I'm Adley Rushman. I'm Aaron Judge.
And insight and analysis of all 30 teams.
When I look at this rotation, I see it competing with some of the best rotations in baseball.
Listen to your favorite team's preview show on MLB Network Radio, Channel 89 in the car, or anytime on the all-new SiriusXM app.
There you go now.
I think I'm recording.
Oh, let's see. There you go now.
I think I'm recording.
Oh, let's see.
If you've been thinking about buying a home, you need to be in the zone, the home buying zone. You need a game plan to win in this great real estate market. The Big C team at Equity Zone Mortgage has all your bases covered. Whether you're a first-time home buyer, purchasing your dream home, refinancing, consolidating debt, or even considering a reverse mortgage, contact the Big C team at Equity Zone Mortgage today. They have the lowest closing costs and they'll close your loan on time, guaranteed, or they'll pay your first mortgage payment. And they even have a 3.5% purchase down payment grant that can get you into a home with little money out of your pocket. It doesn't get more clutch than that, folks. Score big on the biggest purchase of your life. Call Equity Zone Mortgage today at 1-800-772-8624. That's 1-800-772-8624. Or apply online at equityzonemortgage.com and tell them Big C sent you as heard on the Big C Sports Podcast.
Rondo Deportes, Bonjour, Vidi Vidi Vici. Let's get ready to rumble. Welcome to the show. My name is Charlton of Big C Sports. This is Big C Sports coming to you worldwide on the Big C Sports Network, the number one network in the United States of America. And Big C Sports has been voted the number one sports show in the universe, according to me, and people who love the universe. What a beautiful day. Today's show is sponsored by your Northern California Cadillac dealers, home of the all-new Cadillac Escalade, the standard of the world. When you go by and test drive yours, tell them sent you, where the good Lord split you. That's all driving a fleet of Cadillac cars all over the universe on a beautiful February the 28th, the 2024. Today's show is a great show. It's actually a leap year, so we have another day in February, but today is actually the 28th. And I do love bringing you Big C Sports Podcast. It's known as Black History Month. I'm petitioning Congress. I'm petitioning Congress for Black History Day. Since all Black on the African continent. Really do appreciate that. I want to say so many great things have happened in the world of Big C Sports Podcast. Really do appreciate that. I appreciate all the love. People giving me love. Giving me love, and love is good. Really do appreciate getting love. I want to rise and shine every day. In fact, I got a story I want to tell. And, I've been getting my jokes from the dollar store because some of the regular jokes places are a little bit too high in price. You can get a joke book at the dollar store for $1. That's not true, Big C. It's $1.25. Okay, it's $1.25 now. But I got a joke. It's called Knock Knock. Who's there? Who that? Who that who? Who that said they gonna beat them Saints? It's not football season, Big C. Okay, but I was talking to some good old boys from down south, and they still think that everything is about the Saints, the New Orleans Saints, the football team, and they haven't won a championship in many, many moons, all's fair, love and war. But I do love the fact that we do have some March Madness, which a lot of good old boys down south, they love March Madness coming up. I got my own thoughts in Big C's college basketball power rankings. I'm going to talk about that in a little bit. But I also want to say what I love at Big C Sports Podcast is I want to say you can follow Big C Sports Podcast 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on 29 podcast applications all over the universe. And streaming on 4 TV platforms, Xfinity, Comcast TV, Apple TV, Roku TV, and Amazon Fire TV. Really do appreciate that. And as I love saying, I want to be, not that I want to be, but it just seems to work out that way. I think I'm the only sports show in the universe that champions reparations every day, that I do it Monday through Friday, and it's a reason for it, because I believe you either lead, you follow, or you get out of the way. And I believe in leading. I want to give leading some praise. I said give it praise. I love leading. I want to pay homage to the California Reparations Task Force because of mine is a terrible thing to waste. And I want to say it's so important. The chairwoman is Camila Moore. She's brilliant. I love giving her praise. The vice chair is Dr. Amos Brown. He's brilliant. I love giving him praise. I want to give praise to the number one senator in the United States of America. That's California Senator Stephen Bradford. He's brilliant. He also sponsored Name, Image, and Likeness that helps college student athletes get paid on their name, image, and likeness. And then he also sponsored the Ebony Alert that helps law enforcement put the same amount of resources into finding missing black children as they do into finding missing white children with the Amber Alert. And he's brilliant. Had many conversations with him. I want to give praise to Councilmember Monica Montgomery Steppe. She's brilliant. I love giving her praise, part of the California Reparations Task Force. I want to give praise to Assembly Member Reginald Jones Sawyer. He's brilliant. I love giving him praise. I want to give praise to Dr. Shell Grills. She's brilliant. Love giving her praise. I want to give praise to Attorney Lisa Holder. She's brilliant. I love giving her praise. I want to give praise to Dr. Javon Scott Lewis, professor at California Berkeley. He's brilliant. I love giving him praise. And I want to give praise to Attorney Donald K. Tamaki, part of the California Reparations Task Force. And he's get some praise. He's the only Japanese American on the Reparations Task Force in California, but he's also the only person whose ancestors got paid. And I think that's ironic, but I love mentioning that with Big C Sports Podcast because we all need to figure out how we can get this done. And so many things are important. I want to thank This Is CNN, proud sponsors of Big C Sports Podcast. I want to thank T-Mobile, America's largest 5G network, proud sponsors of Big C Sports. I want to thank PNC Private Bank, proud sponsors of Big C Sports. I won $6 million, and I'm not shucking and jiving. All's fair in all's fair. Don't have to say a little bit more, but we know that's the truth. So I really do appreciate bringing you Big C Sports Podcast. I want to feel, in fact, I do feel vindicated because my numbers are growing around the world, not just the United States, but my numbers are growing in India, my numbers are growing in Africa, growing in Saudi Arabia, growing in Canada. Really do appreciate Big C Sports. I want to give that some praise. I'm one beautiful, intelligent black man. I believe in rising and shining, and I will always rise and shine as long as God gives me breath to rise and shine. I was talking to some good old boys today about how to protect your ass. That's if that makes sense to you. Now, you know I'm working on a commercial. In fact, over the weekend, I went to a church service. I told you about that earlier in the week. And I'm getting some documents prepared for the church. For all the people that come to church, of course they want to pay the tithe. But I said, church, if you want all your members to learn to protect your assets, if that makes sense to him. He said, protect. What you say? I said, you want everyone to sit their assets on the pews. Because they got to learn to protect themselves. When people come to the church, the pastor cannot be the ATM for everybody who has a problem. And the good pastors know that. But if you're a good shepherd, then you want to lead people to good direction and the good hope. You want to lead them down the right route. You don't want to lead them down the wrong route. The right route. What's the right route, Big C? A guide to protect and preserve and transfer wealth is called Resource Development Consulting Inc. As a national business development consultant, I love giving that some praise. I said give it praise, because we have long-term care solutions by the book over 3 decades of experience with the great George Jones and also law office of the great Scott Thibodeau. These 2 great attorneys, and they also have a staff of other lawyers that help them. But as Medicare and You is taking care of tomorrow, solutions by the book, and then Medi-Cal is called Medi-Cal in California. But why would I work with the Big C team and RDC, Big C? Because your family and spouse can avoid the spend down in California for nursing home costs, and you can find out your options. And our promise to you, anyone ever make you a promise? We put it in writing. Our promise to you is to navigate and maximize long-term care benefits, protection of your assets in the spend down. We don't have a spend down in California anymore. And then all paperwork and communications with all government agencies, they're handled by our staff of entitlement specialists. We have ongoing consulting to provide updates as necessary and benefits covering skilled nursing facilities, prescription medical equipment costs, and more. So like I said to the pastor, our hope is to help your congregation protect their assets, if that makes sense to you. He said, Aflac? I said, no, Aflac is gap insurance. We telling you we want to help protect your assets. All the congregation, if that makes sense to you, including your home, thereby allowing you to leave a legacy for your family, avoiding the nightmare of debt brought by the government's estate recovery program, which can be up to 40%. We have a one-time processing fee versus monthly insurance premium for the rest of your life because we want to help you protect your assets. If that makes sense to you, give that some praise. Give it praise. 800-772-8624. That's 800-772-8624. And I love doing that with the Big C team. There are a lot of people that want to tell you that they can do things for you, but we have documentation with the Big C team and why it's important to work with us. We have a lot of accreditation, and when you think about getting a referral, we have great referrals with RDC. And it's not just me. Anyone can say, oh, yeah, someone referred me, maybe a friend referred a friend. And there's nothing wrong with a friend referring a friend. But what I want to tell you about the people that endorse RDC, it's more than just a friend, because membership has its privileges, and so does a title. A title can have its privileges. I'm going to say, when people say, well, why would I work with you, Big C? I have my own estate planners. Well, we have the endorsement of Mr. George Jones, attorney, and then chairman of the California Black Chamber of Commerce, also California Black Chamber of Commerce Foundation. We have the endorsement of Mr. Leon Woods, a resource development consultant, one of the top lobbyists in California. We have the endorsement of Ms. Cheryl Brown, the chair of the California Department of Aging. And not only that, we have Mr. Ray Dela Cruz, the CEO of Resource Development Consulting. And not only that, we have Mr. Alex De La Cruz. He's the founder of American Veteran Benefits. We have that. And not only that, we have the number one sports show in the universe, Big C Sports, with Big C Charlton Curry, also a business development consultant. And that's why I say it's important when you realize that my show goes all over the world, and I'm getting calls from people, and I'm thinking, how'd you hear about me? And they say, well, they say a birdie told them. I said, these birds are learning to talk. These are not the birds in Alfred Hitchcock that were eating people alive. But if you have the birds in Alfred Hitchcock and they're trying to eat you alive, you need someone to protect your assets, if that makes sense to you. 800-772-8624. 800-772-8624. That's what I love about the Big C team. Really do appreciate that. I want to say also what gives me a lot of hope in talking about reparations and sports. I do believe this, that there'll be a day in 2024 that a lot of the athletes that love to play with the balls, that don't have the balls to talk about reparations, they're going to want to join the Big C team. I have proof of it. I just got a call from an Olympic coach. You know, the Olympics, where they bring all the world leaders together and they get their best teams together, whether it's basketball or baseball or track and field or wrestling or soccer. I have a coach, an Olympic coach, that reached out to me today because the Big C team is real. and it's not even from the United States, if that makes sense to you. But I talk about reparations. I want to thank NBC News and the Associated Press. It was Janie Hard that did a story on reparations in San Francisco, California yesterday. And think about this. She did an article back in March 30, 2023 on Charlton Curry of Sacramento, California, who discusses reparations on his Big C Sports podcast. It says that cash payments are necessary. And now they're talking about that in San Francisco. You got to give that some praise. I'm not just sucking and jiving. And I really do appreciate the growth and the reach of Big C Sports, also part of the National Black Wall Street Project.com, the National Black Wall Street Project.com. You can go in there and register for free. You'll see that Charlton Curry is a co-chair of Northern California chapter. Give that some praise. Give it praise, praise, praise. I want to praise Double O. Payout Committee for the National Black Wall Street Project has her own radio show on financial literacy. And she also sent me this article on what President Biden put together. Executive Order 13985. And it was talking about further advancing racial equity and support for underserved communities. That's through the federal government. That's known as the White House. Really do appreciate her. And then I want to thank Senator Marco Rubio and Rick Scott of Florida. They reintroduced a bill to restore Holocaust survivors' right to Congress last year. Also, I mentioned Georgetown University. I want to give them some praise. They're a little bit late to the table, but they got to the table. You know, they pledged over $1 billion and counting to descendants of chattel slavery, 272 families. It's in the same city as President Biden, the White House. How did Georgetown beat the White House? Because Georgetown was built on the bodies of black bodies. They were selling families, men, women, and children, to pay off the debts for Georgetown University. I thought you were going to talk to me about basketball, Big C. I am talking to you about basketball. But there'd be no basketball had our black society not made it through. Schools were not integrated when slavery was going on. And when it was abolished, they still had 100 years of Jim Crow and segregation. But I'm telling you, the reason that reparations will stimulate the economy is the same way that integration has made college basketball, college football, college baseball, college track and field a popular sport so much that it's even televised. Because integration's done that. And when reparations passes for descendants of child slavery, it's going to stimulate the economy. That's important. When the Double O Payout Committee for the National Black Wall Street Project sent me this article from the United Nations, it says that strong leadership and political will are crucial to ensure reparatory justice for descendants of child slavery. You got to give that some praise. There's nothing that's going to hurt our society by having more people dealing with equality and liberty and justice for all. And on top of that, there's something that I want to talk about that's so important because there's a reparations anthem. I tell you, this just gets sweeter and sweeter by the day. If somebody ever gave you something that's so sweet, it's so sweet, you say, I want some more. You know, like how many licks does it take to get to the center of a lollipop? It's 1,027. I knew I counted all of them. How many licks, Big C? 1,027 licks to get to the center of a lollipop. I know because I counted all of them. Well, think about what I'm going to show you. There's a song, it's called Reparations Anthem. And it should be played in every major city coming up to the election. Because it's for good people that understand that what did 2 Live Crew say in his last concert? He said, the truth shall set you free. That's not what he said. That's from the Bible, Big C. Well, somebody said, 2 Live Crew said, ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. That wasn't Luke Campbell, 2 Live Crew. That was John F. Kennedy, Big C. Okay, but you know the story. I want you to listen to this song about reparations. Give me some praise, and when I come back, I want you to understand, it's not just Big C Sports, it's everybody that understands we have a reparations national anthem. This is so powerful. It's called Reparations Anthem. You're going to hear it on Big C Sports Podcast. I want to make sure that I share what other people are doing. It's not just me. And this is from the AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. Her name is Robin Ruth Simmons, and you can listen to it coming up in just a moment. And Big C Sports plays it. So give it some praise because it's going to go nationwide. It just came out this week in Black History Month. Please listen to it and then give me your thoughts on it.
Can you hear it playing?
It's going to start in just a moment.
Hold on. Okay, now.
Here it goes.
Yeah.
Big C Sports. Give it some praise.
That's good.
In spite of all the terror, all the harm, all the crimes against our humanity, we have over 400 years of Black resilience. Acknowledge, apologize, repair. This is a call to action.
I told Pharaoh, let my people go. And I feel like Joshua and Jericho. God on our side, so we all in know. Mathematics, Asiatic, actual problematic for savages. We demand an answer for these damages. First you gonna acknowledge, then apologize for real, more than teary eyes. Saying was a Holocaust, on up to the homicide. Ally or you anti, now you gotta pick a side. All colors, all generations, we came for reparations. No debating, need more legislation. Worldwide got the people saying we demand reparations. No debating, need more legislation.
For independence, this is a declaration, we came for reparations.
No debating, need more legislation. Worldwide got the people saying we demand reparations. No debating, need more legislation.
For independence, this is a declaration, we came for reparations. We the fruit of what our ancestors prayed for. First generation college graduates and homeowners. You look deeply at the roots and you see way more. History literally getting combed over. USD is an incomplete remedy. You ain't got enough denominations in your treasury to bring back to form all the souls that were taken. Spirits bring to life through these phrases. We came for reparations.
100% profit, slavery abolished, do Jim Crow, red line, blackball knowledge. The war on drugs was a war on blacks. And if you speak truth to power, then you under attack financially. You reparated Israel, Native Americans. Past due, you reparated me. You reparated Japanese interns, but you designated we, the people who built this country, never really set us free.
No debating, need more legislation.
Worldwide got the people saying we demand reparations.
No debating, need more legislation.
For independence, this is a declaration, we came for reparations.
No debating, need more legislation. Worldwide got the people saying we demand reparations. No debating, need more legislation.
For independence, this is a declaration, we came for reparations.
Over 400 years of oppression is built to how we heal. Placing law, policies, police try to demolish me. Cause of my godly biology. So let's factor, first repair. Power of the economy, black unity, solidarity. Not asking for handouts or charity. But how can we overcome disparity? Reparations.
No debating, need more legislation.
Worldwide got the people saying we demand reparations.
No debating, need more legislation.
For independence, this is a declaration, we came for reparations.
No debating, need more legislation. Worldwide got the people saying we demand reparations. No debating, need more legislation.
For independence, this is a declaration, we came for reparations.
I see the vision like I was looking through an eye. It's time we get paid, need my piece of the pie. We want reparations, no more segregations. Talking 40 acres, now that's a celebration. On the back of the bus, I'm feeling just like Rosa. For my ancestors, look amongst us. For my children's children, I walk like Mo. We the people, God bless the chosen.
Is that amazing? Is that amazing that about reparations? I love it because Big C Sports has been playing it, and I'm going to keep playing it because it's the right thing to do. And you know, when you think about the song in reparations and the fact that I've been doing it and pushing this show and pushing the music of reparations, and now you have more and more people talking about it. I want to give that some praise again. That's important to me. It's a song. It's an anthem. And imagine when people take tongue to that anthem and you realize that reparations will stimulate the American economy. Have you not been entertained? That's a great song, and I just love it. That's what Big C Sports brings to you. I do want to be different. I hope that more and more radio stations and podcasts will start playing that because that's powerful. Imagine when that happens and we teach people how to do whatever they got to do to protect their assets, if that makes sense to you. And that's what reparations will do. It's going to make our country more whole, and I really do appreciate that. You know, I talked about it's Black History Month, and obviously it's about accomplishment, things that we can accomplish as a people. I think it should be Black History Day because all life came from Africa, from the African continent. And I heard a long time growing up, I think it was Dr. Mendham. He said, if you know where you come from, maybe you respect your root a little better. Oh, fair, love it, word. Really do appreciate that. Today, Black History, there's a lot of information out there about it. It was February in 1913 that Rosa Parks made a lot of news. 1934, Hank Aaron was born. And then they had the South Carolina State Orangeburg Massacre. That was 1968. February 11th, 1990, Nelson Mandela is released from prison. A great activist. February 14th, 1818, Frederick Douglass' birthday was celebrated, the great Frederick Douglass. February 15th, 2011, Maya Angelou awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom. And I'm telling you, Joe Frazier in 1970 became world champion. February 1942, Tuskegee Airmen, it was activated. February 1936, Congresswoman Barbara Jordan was born. Isn't that amazing? February 1870, I'm telling you, there's a lot of great Americans that have done a lot of great things. February 1, the Greensboro sit-ins. First Lady of Civil Rights was born 1913, Rosa Parks. We talk about Rosa Parks all the time. But when you think about Big C Sports, give that some praise. Big C Sports is the first sports show in the universe to champion reparations. It's not just me, though. All life began in the African continent. So reparations is something we all deserve. But I want to think about what's called, in this Black History Month, the founder of Black History Month, Dr. Carter G. Woodson, began Negro History Week, the forerunner of Black History Month, during the second week of February 1926. He was a noted historian, journalist, author, and founder of the Association for the Study of Negro Life and History, currently known as the Association for the Study of African American Life and History. If you do not know your history, you may not know really how to appreciate the true value of this great man and your own culture. Dr. Carter G. Woodson, born December 19th, 1875, he lived until April 3rd, in 1950. And thanks to the man known as the father of Black history, and if all life began on the African continent, couldn't he be considered known as the father of history in the United States? Dr. Carter G. Woodson, African Americans are constantly learning their history and becoming more confident of who we are because of the study of our past. Dr. Woodson was born to slaves December 19th, 1875 in New Canton, Virginia. He passed away April 3rd, 1950 in Washington, D.C. at the age of 74 years old, which is not that old. Dr. Woodson is remembered as a historian, a journalist, an author, and considered the father of Black history. When you think about the accomplishments of Black Americans, African Americans, we celebrate the contributions of these Black history makers and hundreds of more in Black history today. But what I want to do is, when I just played you what's called the Reparations Anthem. Some people may call it the Reparations National Anthem. But I want to tell you, they sing about reparations. And just as you thought, well, that's a lot to tackle because some people might be anti-reparations. Well, when I hear people say, oh, you're going to upset people who might be anti-reparations. No one asked Black Americans if they would be upset with the Homestead Act that Congress created in 1862 that gave over 300 million acres of land to white people. And even white Europeans. No one asked Black Americans, were you upset? No one even concerned themselves with whether we were upset or not. But it happened anyway. And just so you know, I'm not the first one to talk about reparations. I want to play one of the greatest speakers in the history of the universe and give me your thoughts on what he said about reparations. You can't say you didn't know this stuff. And when you hear Dr. King, listen to what he says about reparations.
At the very same time that America refused to give the Negro any land, through an act of Congress, our government was giving away millions of acres of land in the West and the Midwest, which meant that it was willing to undergird its white peasants from Europe with an economic floor. But not only did they give the land, they built land-grant colleges with government money to teach them how to farm. Not only that, they provided county agents to further their expertise in farming. Not only that, they provided low interest rates in order that they could mechanize their farms. Not only that, today many of these people are receiving millions of dollars in federal subsidies not to farm, and they are the very people telling the black man that he ought to lift himself by his own bootstraps. And this is what we are faced with. And this is a reality. Now, when we come to Washington, in this campaign, we are coming to get our check.
Can you believe that Dr. King talked about going to get our check, which is what reparations is all about? It's not just Big C Sports saying it. So I love doing that because more people, you say you love Dr. King. If you really love Dr. King, how would you want to deny what he said, we're going to get our check? And that's why President Biden should sign reparations into law by executive order. I really mean that, and I know sometimes people say, well, maybe it will happen, maybe it won't happen, but I believe it's going to happen. That's why I want to give it praise. Can you see it before you see it? Have faith, have patience, have forgiveness, and have mercy. Give reparations a chance. Give it a chance today if that makes sense to you. Well, that's my story. I'm sticking with it. As I tell you, I love talking about things that people do when it comes to protecting their assets, if that makes sense to you. I really like the way my commercials coming together. It's not for everybody who may think I have a speech impediment. But sometimes people say I pronounce my words a little bit different, and there's nothing wrong with that. Everybody has their own way of saying things. But I want to say with Big C Sports Podcast, I produce the show, I direct the topics, I broadcast all the shows, I do all the sound effects based on the platform provided by the agency. We could all use more laughter in our lives. And then the commercials are done, the stats are provided, I even do the storytelling. I do the play-by-play, then the show's uploaded to 29 podcast platforms out of New York City, and I'm in Dimner Hills, California. And then it goes out on streaming on 4 TV platforms: Xfinity, Comcast TV, Apple TV, Roku TV, and Amazon Fire TV. And then number 10, I never miss a show with Big C Sports, even through the good and bad times, joy, pain, sunshine, and rain. And I really do appreciate giving that praise. You got to rise and shine. I've been doing that all my life. But I also want to say to our Veterans Crisis Hotline, they really are experienced helping veterans and their loved ones get help. You know anybody going through issues, pick up the phone, call 800-273-8255. That's 800-273-8255. Or you can text 838-255. That's 838-255. If you're online, simply go to veteranscrisisline.net. That's veteranscrisisline.net. And if you do, you want to give them some praise, because we all need somebody to lean on. And I really do appreciate having somebody to lean on, especially when somebody is leaning back. And so I say, when someone says, yeah, the Big C, what's this about protecting people's assets? What'd you say? You said you got to do a commercial on how to protect people's assets. Yeah. Why the Big C team? Charlton Curry, Big C team, business development consultant with RDC Incorporated. Endorsed by California Department of Aging, endorsed by the California Black Chamber of Commerce, endorsed by the National Black Wall Street Project, as I'm a co-chair of Northern California. And that, to me, over 3 decades of helping people. And the solutions by the book, The Missing Link, came from President Lyndon Baines Johnson in 1966. He signed it into law with civil rights. And he was also there present with Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. that you heard talking about. We come to get our check. Reparations now, reparations forever. I love saying it. And I'm feeling the reparations anthem. You can't say that you're not feeling that. The only thing different with that is it's got to be the shoes. Remember when Spike Lee did his commercial with Michael Jordan back in the day with Nike? And he says, it got to be the shoes. I think his name was Mars. And he was hanging on the rim, dunking in basketball. I'm playing with balls too. But the balls I'm playing with, you can't dribble up and down the court. The balls I play with is the ball of an ink pen. Clear your dirty mind. I said clear your dirty mind. The ball of an ink pen will sign reparations in the law. If you got a dirty mouth, then maybe you understand you need an ink pen to tell you to stop having a dirty mouth. But I want to say that's important to me. I really do appreciate it. And when our athletes and actors like the great Denzel Washington, who I loved his movie Malcolm X, and the great Spike Lee, who produced Malcolm X, when they start getting together and start playing the reparations anthem, I'm telling you, while some of our beautiful, intelligent black men and women are afraid to talk about it, you're going to see mainstream culture white kids that are going to grab a hold to that reparations anthem because they know about the Homestead Act and how their families were enriched. They were enriched through the government. Over 300 million acres of land given to people for free if you're a white or European white. 8th wonder of the world is called compound interest, according to Einstein. When you get combined over 300 million acres of land, and that's after slavery existed from 1619 to 1865, how dare you say we don't need to repair for descendants of child of slavery? Not one white family offered to give that money back. Not one white family offered to give that land back. You don't believe me? Ask them. when it was part of their heritage, bequeathed down from future generation to generation. And that's why, as descendants of child slavery, we never got it. We never got our land, but we're going to get it now. That's important to me. I want to say it's so important that we understand that. I love it so much. And the push for reparations and the reparations national anthem, I want to do one more thing for you so you can hear what somebody also said about descendants of chattel slavery and asking for your vote. Because I told you they're going to be coming around the mountain for your vote pretty soon. And Democrats and Republicans, as I say, if you pro reparations, then you're going to get my vote. But I'm going to play something that you can't say you haven't heard it, because you're going to hear it on Big C Sports Podcast. I'm not shucking and driving, and you make the call. Is this what you want? You heard Dr. King speak. Now contrast that with what you're going to hear coming up next. Now you heard what Dr. King said. Contrast us for the black vote.
I'm being indicted for you, the black population. I am being indicted for a lot of different groups.
Yeah, that's real. Donald Trump spoke at an event hosted by an organization called the Black Conservative Federation in Columbia, South Carolina. The Black Conservative Federation is led by someone who also runs an organization called Black Voices for Trump. This is one of the most unhinged, racist, weird speeches I've ever seen. Let's just go through it here. Donald Trump says that the reason that he can relate to black people is because he got indicted. Here, play this clip.
And then I got indicted a second time, and a third time, and a fourth time. And a lot of people said that that's why the black people like me, because they have been hurt so badly and discriminated against. And they actually viewed me as I'm being discriminated against. It's been pretty amazing. But
yeah, that's actually not AI. That's actually what he said. Here, he basically says that again. Play the clip.
I think that's why the black people are so much on my side now, because they see what's happening to me happens to them. Does that make sense? I've heard that. When I did the mugshot in Atlanta, you know that mugshot is number one. Elvis Presley's number two, and Frank Sinatra's. They had Frank Sinatra for fighting, and they had Elvis for, I don't know, something in a gas station. He tried to hold up a gas station. I don't know, something. Elvis. So Elvis is number two, but he was always number one. The mugshot, we've all seen the mugshot. And you know who embraced it more than anybody else? The black population. It's incredible. You see black people walking around with my mugshot. You know, they do shirts and they sell them for $19 a piece. It's pretty amazing. Millions, by the way, millions of these things have been.
Here, Donald Trump asks the audience at the Black Conservative Federation in South Carolina if they know Cary Grant and Sidney Poitier.
I'm not sure that Cary Grant, do you know Cary Grant? He was this very handsome guy. I'm going to put it more on this. Sidney Poitier, I thought he was very handsome, right? When he was 81, I'm not sure he looked great in a bathing suit. I don't know if anybody looks too great in a bathing suit at 81. What do you think? Maybe these guys look good in a bathing suit. But
talks about whether you'd rather have a white president or a black president, and play the clip.
Les, would you rather have the black president or the white president who got $1.7 billion off the price? I think they want the white guy right now.
He talks about vanilla and chocolate ice cream. Play the clip.
Think of this. Jim from NBC. And he's like, yes. Mr. President, what's your favorite color of the ice cream and flavor of the ice cream? Okay. Then he picks up a card and he reads the answer. My favorite color is black. But my favorite ice cream is vanilla.
He then talks about how he has more people after his ass than anyone. Play the clip.
I have more people after my ass than anybody. I don't think there's ever been a criminal, the worst criminal in history has not had the kind of attention that I've had.
Then he talks about how the lights are very bright and therefore this is who he can see in the audience. Play the clip.
Good. These lights are so bright in my eyes that I can't see too many people out there. But I can only see the black ones. I can't see any white ones. You see? That's how far I've come. That's how far I've come. That's a long way, isn't it? These lights. We've come a long way together. Lynn Patton.
Here he talks about the cognitive moments he has where he mixes up people's names. Like he calls Biden Obama, and he says that he loves to interchange. Play the clip.
Being sarcastic, I interchange names all the time. Every time I interchange a name, and I do it in sarcasm, every time I interchange a name, they say, Donald Trump didn't know this one from that one. I know exactly what the hell I'm... Don't forget, I'm up here now rapping to you guys for 45 minutes without any notes.
Here he talks about other names that he was thinking about giving his social media platform. Play the clip.
They had all these different names, these crazy names that nobody understood. And, like Zion, Zionaning, Dodong, Dadang. 5 letters, I said.
Some really weird stuff right there. Really racist stuff. Really just some real strange stuff. Let's take a look at some of the comments that we received. Another person writes, Trump was sued for discrimination against black people and lost. Daryl writes, this is offensive. All black people haven't been to jail or indicted or had 91 felony charges. Personally, have never been arrested. Michael writes, garbage. Corey writes, black people don't like you, sir, 100. Another comment, did he just compare himself to the black struggle in America? WTF. Another comment we received, remember when Trump wouldn't rent to black people, got sued and convicted of being racist, or when he said the Central Park 5 should have the death penalty, even though they were proved innocent? Another comment, this dude is really taking us for a joke and laughing in our faces. Another comment, I cannot stand this moron. Another statement that we got, I wonder how those black MAGA folks feel about this. Another comment we received, like fingernails on a chalkboard, this verbal diarrhea is old, tired, and needs to just go away for good. Another comment we received, it's official, they're no longer using dog whistles, they're just putting it right out there.
If you can understand that, no matter what side you're on as far as voting, how do you vote someone that insults your entire ancestry in the office? And I know there are people who want to do it because they're called black conservatives. They invited him to come speak to them. And the things that he was saying about black Americans, all that came from Africa. But what he was saying, as we're talking about reparations, and you have Senator Stephen Bradford talking about reparations, and Senate Bill 490 to reestablish Freedmen's Bureau in California to pay out reparations, and then you have people running around the country asking for your vote. And I just want to ask people that are out there anti-reparations, and you get the following that follows a person that insults African Americans in their own conference, and some people were clapping for it. And some of those same people, they don't support the California Reparations Task Force. So for people that think, well, if we support reparations, isn't it antithetical to egalitarianism? It's not antithetical to egalitarianism. But you see what people are up against, where sometimes people are so brazen, they'll say how they don't like you right in front of your face. And it's a shame. Because he was welcomed into that meeting, that rally. So no matter what you say, he did say he needs someone to protect his assets because of 91 indictments. Maybe he needs the RDC team for that. Give that some praise. Protecting your assets. It's not just Big C Sports that talks about it. Well, that's my story. I'm sticking with it. I want to get in to what I think is about college basketball. I got Big C's college basketball power rankings, and when you think about March Madness, it's right around the corner. We've been in the Black History Month. I played you the Reparations National Anthem. It's so powerful. I think it's going to be played more and more on different radio stations and podcasts all over the country coming up on the election in 2024. But I also told you that it's about egalitarianism, that reparations will stimulate the American economy. Who doesn't want the economy stimulated? I think you heard one of the last speakers who says he doesn't care about that. He just wants to insult people of color. And some people, you can insult them and you can say anything you want to them, and they'll still smile on your face. Doesn't make any sense to me. But that's my story, and I'm sticking with it. Well, as we stand up for the tip-off, we're getting ready for March Madness, and it's really a spectacle for television. A lot of people love March Madness. I remember seeing it as a young boy growing up, and I love college basketball. But for the first time in months, have a full-fledged three-way battle for number one. And what had been a UConn versus Purdue debate now includes Houston. The Cougars have UConn's 19-point loss at Creighton last week has temporarily removed the Huskies, that shield of invincibility, and where people thought they just could not be defeated. But now people know it's a miss and make league when it comes to basketball. And right now the Huskies, when you look at who they are, they're not as strong as maybe people thought they were even a week or two ago. But the program is a solid program. But they own double-digit wins over North Carolina and Marquette. And then Creighton they looked kind of dominant in a healthy Donovan Clingan before the road loss to the Blue Jays. They're 9-3 against Quadrant 1 opponents, tied for the most Quadrant 1 wins in the country. They're 14-3 against Quadrant 1 and Quadrant 2, second most in that category, and don't have any losses outside of Quadrant 1. And Purdue stayed at number 2 last week after losing at the Ohio State Buckeyes, but has been able to have a couple of wins over Rutgers and also the Michigan Wolverines to add this case for number 1. And when you look at the Purdue Boilermakers, and that's a great basketball program, they're number 1 in both resumes metric by a lot of the media around the country, and then number 2 by other polls. But they're tied with UConn for the most Quadrant 1 wins and the most Quadrant 1 and Quadrant 2 wins in the country, 17-3. I got to tell you, there's some great programs out there. And Matt Painter's team owns victories over Arizona, Tennessee, Marquette, Alabama, and Illinois. So that brings us to Houston. Houston, they have liftoff down in Texas, the Houston Cougars, and which has been ranked number 1 since the start of December and has not given up that spot. The Cougars are also number 1 in the net and BPI. Interestingly enough, they lost 3 Quadrant 1 wins between Saturday and Sunday due to losses on Saturday by Utah, Texas A&M, and Texas Tech. We know that Utah in the Pac-12, and they're going to be joining the Big 12 next year for football, and I believe basketball as well. Texas A&M, they're the SEC, and then Texas Tech, they're the Big 12. So they've had losses to the Pac-12, the SEC, and the Big 12. As a result, they have 7 Quadrant 1 wins and 2 fewer than Purdue and UConn, and 13 combined Quadrant 1 and Quadrant 2 wins. Before last week, they did not quite have the quality wins to get to the top, but victories over Iowa State and Baylor provided that they have a team that can compete for a national championship. It's a very tight race, and then Purdue's combination of wins and metrics gives the Boilermakers the edge. And on to this week's rankings. I think if you look at a team like Houston, I hope that they all champion for reparations. Kelvin Sampson credits toughness for Houston's win over Iowa State. And then Houston's coach Sampson explains why Houston's toughness, it fueled the team to a win over Iowa State, beating 2 top 15 teams, including 1 on the road. That's enough to earn this honor, even when you're in the contention for the number 1 ranking in the country, according to Big C Sports. In college basketball, Houston opened his week by avenging its first loss of the season. They beat Iowa State 73-65, and then the Cougars jumped out to an early lead, completely jumping on top of the Cyclones for the first 15 minutes of that game, and then Iowa State would get within 4 in the second half, but then Jamal Snead dropped 26 points, had 6 assists, and made plays when it mattered most to seal that victory. And you got to understand the Houston Cougars, they are dominant every year. And then Houston went on the road, and they knocked off Baylor, a power out of the Big 12 Conference, again owning and opening 20 minutes and taking a 16-point lead into the break. And then the Bears, they came all the way back and had a chance to win it in the final seconds. But at the same time, Houston was able to prevail with about 4 seconds left in that game. It was a 3-pointer that had missed. But when I think about the Cougars eventually pulled out an 82 76 win with Emmanuel Sharp and Jawan Roberts helping overcome Snead's second-half shooting woes. And Houston now has a one-game lead in the Big 12 in the Cougars' first season in the league. You got to give them some praise. It's a big battle down in Texas. And as we look at some of the player of the week, it's Hunter Salas, the Wake Forest Demon Deacons. He dropped 29 points to power Wake Forest past Duke. And then Hunter Salas dropped 29 points, including the game-sealing free throws to lead Wake Forest to an upset victory of the great Duke Blue Devils. And there was plenty of high-level performance this week. Arkansas's Caleb Battle went for 42 points, dropping 42 points on just 15 shots in a win over Missouri. And then Marquette's Cam Jones, he dropped 34 points in back-to-back wins. Kentucky's Justin Evers dropped 28 points on a perfect 10-for-10 shooting to beat Alabama. And Dennis Jenkins, he averaged 21 points, 5.5 assists, and a huge 2-0 week for the St. John's. Illinois duo of Coleman Hawkins and Terrence Shannon Jr. had massive showings. And then Charleston State's Devin Barnes dropped 27 points as the Texans upset Grand Canyon and closed the gap in the West Coast Conference. Actually, that's the Western Athletic Conference. But when it came to fantastic individual performances, season-changing weeks, none was better than Salas. I'm just telling you, there's a lot of great things going on in college basketball. The former five-star recruit who struggled during his 2 seasons at Gonzaga has been one of the best transfers in the country this season and has saved some of his best basketball for the month of February, known as Black History Month. He opened this week dropping 17 points and 5 assists in a blowout win over Pittsburgh, and then followed that up dropping 29 points and 6 rebounds. He was 11 for 13 shooting in Saturday's win over Duke, the Blue Devils out of the ACC. His type of week makes a lot of NBA scouts look at him, and that can vault the Demon Diggers from the bubble into the NCAA tournament field. He's now averaging 19 points on the season and 21 points on 60% shooting from 3 his past 7 games. When I think about some of the big wins of the week, you got to look at Creighton, the Blue Jays 85, the UConn Huxley 66, the Washington State Cougars 77, the Arizona Wildcats 74. And then when I think about Caleb Love's, that shot falls short as Washington State pulls up an upset on number 21 Washington State hands number 4 Arizona. Its first home loss of the season after Caleb Love's shot hit the front rim. And neither Washington State nor Creighton could complete a 2-0 week, with Saturday's losses taking them out of the mix for teams of the week. So 2 highly impressive top 5 victories have to settle for sharing the win of the week. And when you think about that, none other than Creighton completely turned things around from his first meeting against UConn, the Huskies, earlier in the season, when the Blue Jays lost by 14 in a game that wasn't nearly as close as that. And on the second go-round, Tuesday, the Blue Jays jumped out to a 14-point halftime lead and doubled that of UConn's biggest halftime deficit. And then to the point of the season, the Blue Jays massed a 48 points from the 2 teams' first meeting with nearly 19 minutes left in the game. And it was Stephen Ashworth was terrific early. Baylor Sherman made it big plays late, and it all rounded out to become Creighton's first win over a number 1 team in the program's history. You got to give that some praise. All strong level well. But on the Pac-12 front, the Washington State Cougars briefly took first place in the Pac-12 standings for the first time since 1986, with a road win at Arizona, completing the season sweep of the Wildcats and winning in Tucson for the second year in a row. And back-and-forth game Thursday night had Arizona on top of the final minute. But when Washington State picked up a loose ball in the paint and found Jalen Wells in the corner, he knocked down a 3-point basket, getting fouled by Keshad Johnson for a go-ahead 4-point play. It was Kyle Smith that had Wazoo dancing for the first time since 2008. You got to give that some praise. Well, that's my story, and I'm sticking with it. What I do want to say is I love college basketball. March Madness is great. And obviously, when you look at programs like Loyola Chicago, they entered the season picked 8th in the Atlantic 10 preseason poll, coming off a disappointing 10-21 campaign in the second year in a row at the helm for Valentine. Things did not start off promising this season either, with a home loss at UIC in mid-November and a 6-5 record in mid-December. But since then, their December 16 loss at South Florida, a loss that has, must said, made them a better team. The Ramblers are 14-2 and tied for first in the Atlantic 10 with Richmond with 4 games left to go. So no matter what you think about college basketball, it's not always the Blue Buds when you look at the UCLAs and the the Kansas program, the Kentuckys, and the Ohio State programs. There's just the UConns. There's a lot of good programs that are maybe not as well known that are also playing a good basketball. But that's my thought on Big C's NCAA college basketball power teams. I wanna finish by saying, I told you there's a reparations anthem. And as I run down the top 10 in Big C's college basketball power rankings, I'm going to go the number 1 Purdue Boilermakers. They're 25-3. I really like their chances to get to the Final Four. Got number 2, the Houston Cougars. They're 24-3. I like their chances getting into that Final Four, but it's about how you get hot at the right time. I got number 3, the UConn Huskies. They're 25-3. You know they're going to be making some noise, and probably another team that gets back to the Final Four because they're so sound. You also got to look at the Tennessee Volunteers. They are 21-6. You got to know that they play good defense, and they're a very physical team, and I like their chances getting into that Final 8. I got number 5, the Arizona Wildcats, 21-6 their last year in the Pac-12 conference before they joined the Big 12. And you got to like what Arizona's doing, but that loss to Washington State down the back 9, that doesn't help them a lot. Number 6, Iowa State, the Cyclones, 21-6. Another power out of the Big 12. Number 7, Marquette, the Golden Eagles. They are 21-6. You look at them maybe being a Sweet 16 team. I got number 8, North Carolina, the Tar Heels, 21-6. Obviously from the ACC, you love seeing North Carolina at least in the Final 8. Number 9, Kansas, the Jayhawks. They are 21-6. And of course, Kansas, you always got to look at Kansas being one of the top teams coming out of that Big 12. I'm going to finish in Big C's NCAA college basketball power rankings. Going to go with the Auburn Tigers, but their mascot is an eagle. Maybe some moonshine flowing down in the south, if that makes sense to you. But they are 21-6, and they have every right to believe that they can be a Final 8 team. I want to give that some praise, as I always champion for all of the colleges to start saying reparations now, reparations forever, because it takes young people. It takes young people that are going to figure this thing out and not be afraid to talk about what it's going to take to get back to the finals when it comes to college basketball. We all know without college basketball, then there's a lot of players that won't have a chance to even audition for the pros, because college basketball is amazing. It's not what it used to be, because there's just so many people jumping around, and the Pac-12 going away doesn't make any sense in my opinion. It's all about money, not because of lack of competition. Pac-12 conference, UCLA, obviously, they still have more national championships than any other team, but that's just going back to the days of John Wooden, the late John Wooden. But you got to look at Arizona. They can make some noise. The Pac-12 is not as strong this year as it has been in the past couple of years, and the dominant team on the West Coast has been Gonzaga and UCLA over the years. But things change, and that's just the way it is. But I want to just say I appreciate the college teams and the college kids. Hopefully they'll start getting out there and championing for reparations, the same way they champion for cracking down the nets in one shiny moment. Well, that's my story. I'm sticking with it. As I always tell you on every Big C Sports podcast, if you're going to drink, don't drive. If you're going to drive, don't drink, because mothers against drunk drivers are mad, and fathers against drunk drivers are mad. It's one of the easiest things not to do. You could call Uber, you could call Lyft, you can walk it off, you can sleep it off, but don't let someone you love get behind the wheel of a car and start drinking and then driving. The life you save may be your own or someone that you love. That's my story. I'm taking with it. As I always tell you, I love paying homage to my beautiful family, from my great-grandmothers, my great-grandfathers, my grandmothers, my grandfathers, my beautiful mama, the most beautiful mama in the history of the universe. Always saying, rise and shine, the best person I ever met in my life. I love my mama with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. And then on my father's side, my beautiful father, former United States Air Force fighter pilot, chief mechanic, always making sure that airplanes can fly high so we can all stay safe at night. Love my dad with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. My beautiful brother, Todd, with that bombastic voice, sound like thunder and lightning. With Todd to speak, always saying, go forward. A voracious reader. Love Todd with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. My beautiful daughter, Daisy, the most beautiful daughter in the history of the universe. College graduate, 2 degrees with honors in 3.5 years from a major university. She helped me set up the very first interview for Big C Sports Podcast. And she also helped me at the time at Salem Media. It was the first time in the history of the United States that NFL Monday Night Football started broadcasting live on the Wall Street Business Network. It had never happened before until 2 black men in the crew came together. But you know what happened? Shenanigans started, and the show went away, but I'm still standing. Daisy, you can be anything you want. Isaiah 54:17. No weapon formed against you will prosper. You can be anything you want. I love you with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. My beautiful, handsome son, Malcolm, the most handsome son in the history of the universe. College student, very smart, erudite, a good man. Malcolm, you can be anything you want to be. Malcolm helped me save trees. I used to always get the newspapers and look up stats for players and teams for Big C Sports Podcast. And one day Malcolm said, Dad, why don't you just Google it? And a light bulb went up. Been Googling ever since. One day Malcolm said, Dad, do you want to see Big C Sports on TV? I said, sure. He said, pick up the remote, aim it at the TV, and say, play Big C Sports. You'll see your show come up. That's before it was even on the air. Now it's streaming on 4 TV platforms: Xfinity, Comcast TV, Apple TV, Roku TV, and Amazon Fire TV. Malcolm, you can be anything you want. I love you with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. Always praise God. Isaiah 54:17, that no weapon formed against you will prosper. I love you with everything I have. And then I'm going to tell you, Big C, with all that wealth of knowledge over the years, always saying you got to believe, you got to believe, you got to believe. Saying, let's get ready to rumble. I love saying welcome to the show. ESPY nominated Big C Sports Podcast. I have no scripts. I have no 3-way teleprompters. I have no producer in my ear. All I have is my higher self and some spinach and tuna I ate last night. And some chocolate. I had a lot of chocolate. I love chocolate. They say chocolate is finger licking good. I can attest to that because I'm always sucking on my fingers, if that makes sense to you. Well, back by a popular demand. Back in the day, there's a man known by the name of Drew Boudini Brown. He's known as Muhammad Ali's right-hand man. He would always tell Ali, you float like a butterfly, and you sting like a bee. Rumble, young man, rumble. He said, with all you got to use, how can you lose? Ali said, I'm so pretty. I can't possibly be beat because every time I listen to Big C Sports, I want to protect my assets. He said, then I float like a butterfly and sting like a bee. And no one can beat Muhammad Ali. My beautiful mother always says there's never ever an excuse for racism or domestic violence. No man, woman, or child should ever have to go through that garbage on their own. If anybody's going upside your head, you need more leader in your life. Love is the answer. Anyone that loves you, they won't put their hands on you. Pick up the phone and call 911 because no one should ever have to go through that garbage. That's my story and I'm sticking with it. Well, as I always tell you, my beautiful mother always says, and what I always say, I want to pay homage to President Abraham Lincoln and Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And you heard the reparations anthem. They said, President Biden, sign reparations now, sign reparations forever. Come on, say it like your team just won the game. Let's sign reparations now. Let's sign reparations forever. Say it like you just won the Super Bowl. Let's say sign reparations now. Let's sign reparations forever. I thank you. I appreciate you. And I hope that you have a super fantastic day.